you going to help me read? Hello, chicken. Mia, come back. Mia. In the course of time, Mr. Earnshaw began to fail. He had been active and healthy, yet his strength left him suddenly. And when he was confined to the chimney corner, he grew grievously irritable. A nothing vexed him, and suspected slights of his authority nearly threw him into fits. This was especially to be remarked if anyone attempted to impose him upon or domineer over his favorite. He was painfully jealous, lest a word should be spoken amiss to him. Seeming to have got into his head that the notion, because he liked Heathcliff, all hated and longed to do him an ill turn. It was a disadvantage to the lad, for the kinder among us did not wish to fret the master. So we humored his partiality. And that humoring was rich nourishment to the child's pride and black tempers. Still it became a manner necessary, twice or thrice, Hindley's manifestations of scorn. While his father was near, roused the old man to a fury. He seized his stick to strike him, and shook with rage that he could not do it. At last, we had a curate then who made the living answer by teaching the little Lintons and Earnshaws, and farming his bit of land himself. He advised that the young man should be sent to college, and Mr. Earnshaw agreed, though with a heavy spirit, for he said Hindley was not, and would never thrive as where he wandered. I hoped heartily we should have peace now. It hurt me to think the master should be made uncomfortable by his own good deed. I fancied the discontent of age and disease arose from his family's disagreements, and he would have it that it did. Really, you know, sir, it was in his sinking frame. We might have got on tolerably, notwithstanding, but for two people, Miss Cathy and Joseph, the servant, you saw him, I dare say, up yonder. He was, and is yet, most likely, the weary-missed, self-righteous Pharisee that ever ransacked a Bible to rake the promises to himself, and fling the curses on his neighbors. By his knack of sermonizing and pious discouraging, he contrived to make a great impression on Mr. Earnshaw, and the more feeble the master became, the more influential he gained. He was restless in worrying him about his soul's concerns, and about ruling his children rigidly. He encouraged him to regard Hindley as a reprobate. I'm sorry, these words, I don't use them often. And night after night he regularly grumbled out a long string of tales against Heathcliff and Catherine, always minding to flatter Earnshaw's weakness by heaping the heaviest blame on the last. Certainly she had ways with her such as I never saw a child take up before. And she put all of us past our patience 50 times, and oftener in a day, from the hour she came downstairs till the hour she went to bed, and we had not a minute's security that she wouldn't be in mischief. Her spirits were always at high water mark, her tongue always going, singing, laughing, and plaguing everybody who would not do the same. A wild wick slip she was, but she had the bonniest eye and sweetest smile, and slightest foot in the parish, and, after all, I believe she meant no harm. For when once she made you cry in good earnest, it seldom happened that she would not keep you in company, and oblige you to be quiet that you might comfort her. She was much too fond of Heathcliff. The greatest punishment we could invent for her was to keep her separate from him, yet she got chided more than any of us on his account. In play she liked exceedingly to act like little mistress, using her hands freely and commanding her companions. She did so to me, but I would not bear slapping and ordering, so I let her know. Now Mr. Ernest did not understand jokes from his children. He had always been strict and grave with them, and Catherine, on her part, had no idea why her father would be crosser and less patient in his ailing condition than he was in his prime. His peevish reproofs wakened her in a naughty delight to provoke him. She was never so happy as when we were all scolding her at once, and she defying us with her bold, saucy look, and her ready words, turning Joseph's religious curses into ridicule, baiting me, doing just what her father hated most, showing how her pretended insolence, which he thought was real, had more power over Heathcliff than his kindness. How the boy would do her bidding in anything in his own when it suited his own inclination. After behaving as badly as possible all day, she sometimes came fondling to make it up at night. Nay, Cathy, said the old man, I cannot love thee. Thou art worse than thy brother. Go say thy prayers, child, and ask God's pardon. I doubt thy mother and I must rue that we never reared thee. That made her cry at first, and then being repulsed continually hardened her, and she laughed if I told her to say she was sorry for her faults and begged to be forgiven. But the hour came at last that ended Mr. Earnshaw's troubles on earth. He died quietly in his chair one October evening, seated by the fire. A high wind blustered round the house and roared in the chimney. It sounded wild and stormy, yet was not cold, and were all together. I, a little removed from the hearth, busy